I remember someone said to me once in a big company that I worked for that when you have this big ship, imagine like a big tanker ship or a um, aircraft carrier or something like that, that to turn the ship takes a really long time. Is that what you're finding as well? Because some of the
Mm,
things you're talking about really are different ways of thinking about safety. And in theory, they sound good. And probably in practice, they're amazing. But when you're dealing with different levels in the organization and people who've been there for 20, 30, 40 years
mhm,
that have earned their stripes a certain way, how hard is it? Honestly, that's the question is
mm.
how hard is it to move that big ship?
Yeah, it's if you didn't know, people don't like change. Definitely being sarcastic. So people, I can only use myself as a case study, and that's one thing I've been fortunate to do. I always look at myself, and I know how I have a system in place, and I built something, and it works. I'm from the old credo: if it's not broke, don't fix it. Why would I even fix it? But yet, that is going to eventually cause some chaos because you're just waiting for disaster to happen when you could have seen it coming. Therefore, Hop was a great example. Seeing something that was coming down the pike and saying, hey, the way we've been, our safety management system and just coming through with clipboards and checklists, and that may not be it. We're coming through really black hatting it, coming through just looking for things to go wrong and trying to fix it. We have to be a lot more premeditated in the sense of preventive. We have to really get out there and coach these people and learn from these people and build these learning teams and try to understand because right now it's a sense of you have something already, you have a process already established, and you want to just drive that, you want to ride that as long as possible. And at the same time, it's never supposed to be like that. So, and I have a large amount of friends in the safety industry, and they say the same thing. Like, man, but it's been working and it's flawless. No, no, no. We think it's flawless because bubbling underneath, it's only a matter of time. And so once we get sold on that and say we're trying to make that change, now we have to sell that to the top and we have to sell that to leadership. And they're going to say the same thing we said. What do you mean? This has been working. Why would you even think about changing it? Or why would I have to pay for this training? Or why do I have to bring in this expert to do this? And so all those things. And it's always going to be a task. That's why I think as a safety professional, one of the biggest attributes or skill sets that we can develop is sales. And a lot of us don't think like sales. I mean, I'm not working at, a car dealership. No, no, no. We have to really learn how to sell it because we're selling it based on injury rates. No, 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 no. We have to sell it based on cost benefit analysis, what it's going to save in the long run, numbers, analytics. And so that's one of the biggest things that we discuss all the time. And one of the reasons that I went back to school and got an MBA because I noticed my gap. My gap was, again, I was just technical guy, and talking to leadership was just falling flat because they're talking business and I'm talking safety, and we'll never coexist. And so I had to really learn that language, operations, production, formulas, um, just really get into the mind of they're thinking from such a high strategic level, and I'm thinking from a tactical level that we have to meet somewhere. And once I start really getting that insight and understanding and networking, especially with directors on the outside who work in that corporate world, I seen how it translates also into the armed forces, and we were able to use that, and it worked. But
Do you ever have a time where, you were mentioning earlier that you've had quite a few bosses? Is there ever a time where you're doing the sales to them about this different way of working and they're not buying what you're selling?
oh,
And what do you do?
yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. But fortunately, it's the sense of you have to. I tell people all the time because I've seen it firsthand, just based on your example. One thing about leadership, if they are being resistant, they're not being resistant, they just don't know. If you're able to really train them and sit them down, and we'll take them out on a Gemba walk. We'll take them out on a managed by working or walking around. We take them out to let them see. Then they're able to now put some context on. Oh, okay. This is totally different than what I imagined
Mm,
you guys did. Because a lot of times they're just looking at one specific number. Who's not getting hurt? If no one's getting hurt, and that's always a disadvantage for any safety professional because leadership is always going to look at it like this. If you're not getting hurt, are you doing a good job or do I really need you? So yeah, we're always battling between those two
mm,
of just really trying to make sure we keep them not necessarily bought in. That's such a cliche way to say it, but you want them bought into your system. But it has been resistance. But I noticed a offhand three that I may have a little resistance with. It was just a sense of education, training, showing them what we do, a little look behind the curtain, keep messaging, just putting things in context that they can understand, removing a lot of the safety jargon, make it so they can really understand what are we doing, what do we need money for, what do we need help for, why do we need more manning, why would we get another safety professional. Once they're starting to understand those things, then it's like anything else. One thing about any type of person, CEO or otherwise leadership, once it makes sense to them, normally they're all with it. It just has to make sense, figuratively and literally. It has to make some type of sense on both ends, profit and people.